Well, this is it. We're finally to week number 4. Hi friend, welcome to Grace and Grains. My name is Rhonda and this is the Paper Garden, my creative corner of Grace and Grains. Here we grow in faith, creativity, and purpose. And today we're working on week number 4. So let's get started. So I've been on as a design team member with Creating with Jovi, and she was so gracious to allow me to use her Bee's Knees kit, and that's what I've been using to create this journal. Now this is week 4, and now we're going into the harvest. But before I go into the last page, I wanted to show you just some of the pages that I wasn't able to use, but I look forward to using in my other journals as we go along. So I had printed these out on cardstock, so they're a little bit firmer, but I can use them down the road, and I may even just cut them up and put them into this journal as it is. My little honey bear says thank you, and I just love these little bees, and I wanted to like clip them on the side, but wasn't sure when or how I would do it. But there's my little honey bear, and now here's our book. So we went through this book, and I created the you'll see the pages of the digital kit, so thank you, Jovi. And then because now we're to the harvest would be the flowers or the reaping of the joy of what we've done at the very end. So what I've done is I've created quite a few different clusters with the last of the papers. I always like to layer a cluster with the combination of a blank page, something with words on it, a little piece of ephemera, and then some type of a sentiment. This one says dare, dream, and do, and then a little texture piece. So I have some colorful ribbon that I printed out. I love this little bicycle. I kind of stuck it here by this fence. And then of course I've got pages for journaling. Another cluster of Be Fierce. However, I do have it next to one of the pieces from the kit saying Be Kind. And then of course last week I showed how these flowers seem to, or the sprinkles had a tendency to go onto this page. So I created some dirt on this page and added some little pieces of gardening flowers on the side. That way I could just do like it blew over. But I also, if you can see, is I have some dried lavender that I actually just added some glue, and I put this dried lavender right on top just for another little textural piece. I have a grandson who's autistic, and so my understanding is that texture is very important to touch, and so having pieces like this is really nice to be able to feel the roughness of the glitter and then the softness of these petals. Again, Be Fierce, and this was from week 1 of Luke 8, preparing the ground, and so we did that in our first series. And then we had just an additional card here at this pocket, and to dream big. And I like this dream big. I like the colors of it, plus it matches this piece of this gazebo. I always think of dream big, and dream big is like when you want to get a house. And I know with our house, we went through 1,000 pictures of houses online before we bought this house just 4 years ago. Another one of these is Matthew 13:8, to have good soil. So where are you planting your seeds of faith into? And a couple of honey pots, and this doily had the message of starting into the second week, which was water and light. And that's when we created the pockets and the cards for this journal. This was a belly band that I used out of the kit, and to the light of the world in John 8:12. When we got into week number 3, we started with tending the garden. So he cuts off every branch in me and bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so it'll be more fruitful. Now today we got an extra couple inches of snow, so I thought I would go in here and finish this kit for the week, because I can't get out in my garden right now. And then I love this one because I love this big honey sign that was on one of the pages, and these fierce looking bees. I can literally go right up to a bee now and videotape it this far from the bees in my garden, because I'm looking at them completely different. And this is Hebrews 10:24 through 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another in towards love and good deeds, not only giving up meeting together, as some of us are in a habit of doing, but to encourage one another. And here we come to the last week, and this is the harvest. So we've added a lot of the pretties of the clusters, but this is a little pocket that I made, a little notebook, using one of the pages again from the kit, and then I cut out some harder pieces of ephemera from the back, and has this cute little kid looking in at these beehive. But in here, of course, the harvest is going to be Galatians 5:22 through 23. The harvest, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So which fruits have you grown? And so what I did with these pages, and these were just paper colored coffee dyed pages, I put one at each. And so that way you can decide what are you growing or what needs to be pruned in your life. And then a couple extra at the end. And how have these seeds I planted, watered, and tended, how have they manifested in my actions, in my thoughts or character? To give you a breakdown of the Galatians, I'm going to pull out this. This is my happy planner, and I created this. These are my Bible notes. And so I created this planner, and this is just the New Testament out of a happy planner. But I wanted to show you the fruits of the Spirit. So when I did a study on Galatians 5:22, I wrote it down like this. So joy is deep, abiding sense of gladness, rooted in God, not circumstances, a gift from God that transcends difficulties. Patience is the ability to endure difficult situations or people with grace. Faithfulness is steadfast loyalty to God and others. And this page ran out, so I actually had to just tape these on here, and I used some washi tape to tape on both sides so they fold over. But we have here actually, and also make note that this is the fruit of the Spirit, not fruits in plural. So sometimes you may have one, sometimes you have more. But the greatest of all is always love, unconditional love, selfless, sacrificial, God's love for us and its foundation of all others and care for others. Self-control is discipline over your own desires and emotions and actions. In fact, I use carrots as an example for here because self-control has to go deep like a carrot. I love metaphors. Peace, an inner calm that comes from trusting God. Goodness and kindness. Here's goodness is moral integrity to seek what is right when no one is watching. And kindness is the actions that reflect God's character and compassion. And then, of course, gentleness is strength under control, demonstrating through humility. I added just a couple extra pieces on here. This is actually called a belly band. And then just a few pages here at the end where you can just write some notes. And then this last page, I put down be brave on this cluster. And this is from Nancy Lubin, a little quote. I'm proposing a change. Love thy worker bee. Celebrate the ones who toil without complaint. Play on a team. Construct the hive, produce the honey, executing the plan. And this is on one of my old Franklin Covey pages where I had to write down everything I did or it didn't get done. And then as you notice, I ended then with this bicycle. So I started with the bicycle. So it's like, where are you going? And where are you coming from? And then this last page, I just have a little pocket with one of the pieces of ephemera that I cut into a journal card. And then what I like to do on the back of my pages is I put down the Bee's Knees Kit, creating by Jovi. It's my March series of 2026. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. For April, I'm getting ready to do the next series, which will be using one of Jovi's kits of the blue butterflies. So may you be rooted in love and grow in grace. Thank you so much for spending time with me. This is Rhonda from Grace and Grains, and coming from my paper garden, my creative corner. Until then, keep planting seeds of faith. And if this blessed you, please like, subscribe, and share.